This is water. As you can see, it's producing a lot of energy. What if humans were able to harness that energy? On this episode of the Science Guy, we'll be discussing hydropower.
Hydropower is power derived from the energy of falling water or fast-running water, which may be harnessed for useful purposes.
That's a lot of damn power.
Oh God, it's science with Josh.
Oh God, it's science with Josh.
Oh God, it's science with Josh.
Science rules.
Oh God, it's science with Josh.
Inertia is a property of matter.
Oh God, it's science with Josh.
Oh God, it's science with Josh.
I still don't get it. How do we use dams to make energy?
We use a dam. Large dams are built across running water, mainly large rivers, to trap the water in a man-made reservoir. The water is then let out through a series of pipes that push heavy turbines that generate electricity. The kinetic force of the water generates the electricity that is then captured and can be transported many miles from the source to where it is needed.
Rivers like these?
Exactly. The water released from the reservoir is a controlled stream, which can limit downstream flow. This may lead to unintended consequences.
While hydropower is a renewable energy source, it does have some downsides. There are very limited stakeholders in the hydropower business, meaning large corporations and government organizations have a ton of power. This leads to the unequal treatment of native people who may have been living on the land where they want to place a dam.
That's no fair. Why do they get treated meanly?
Unfortunately, the native people aren't the primary consumers of the electricity, meaning the government often overlooks their opinions. The primary consumers of the electricity are the people in big cities that get the electricity brought to them through hundreds of miles of cables.
Dams can be found all over the world. China is the most dammed country with 23,000 large dams. The US comes in second with 9,200, followed by India, Japan, and Brazil. In fact, there are lots of dams right here in Colorado. They provide electricity, irrigation, and municipal water for over 35 million people.
Wait, I thought damned was a bad word.
Well, this kind of dam is not a bad word. These kinds of dams are the same kind of dams as beaver dams, except a lot more economically impactful. These kinds of dams are built by thousands of people and millions of dollars. Unfortunately, it seems to be one of the few renewable energy sources that poor countries have access to, despite its massive cost.
So, are these kind of dams bad?
Well, there are positives and negatives to hydroelectricity. Some positives of hydropower use include: hydroelectric power is considered a very clean source of renewable energy. A properly run system emits practically negligible amounts of greenhouse gases compared to fossil fuels. They do not emit any carbon dioxide. They are not radioactive. They do not require any sort of fire or combustion, so there is no risk of explosions or radioactive spills.
Wow, I'm sure glad we use hydropower.
Yeah, don't even get me started on coal. However, while hydropower does have some upsides when compared to other dirtier forms of energy production, it still has a lot of consequences.
Hydroturbine generators, especially those in the form of a dam, can cause serious damage to the surrounding ecosystems. The water near the surface of a dam will become warmer, which will lower the oxygen content of the water and negatively impact certain species of plants and animals in the environment. The height of the water level may frequently change when using a dam system, which impacts the environment of plants and animals, especially animals that use the water near the shoreline. Dams make it difficult for fish to migrate up or downstream. Fish ladders are sometimes installed to make it easier for fish to travel past a dam, but it can still impede the movement of fish.
That doesn't sound great, but where do we go from here?
Well, the future of hydropower is a little iffy. Although it is a clean and renewable source of energy, widespread use of hydropower often has negative consequences that far outweigh the positives. For instance, widespread use of hydroelectricity uses a lot of dams. Dams can be negatively impactful to native fish species and other land animals. Land animals may have to deal with no water one day but an abundance of water the next, which can lead to flooding. Fish species may be unable to get downriver, and it may be difficult for them to spawn.
Economically, hydroelectricity is a very poor choice. It costs an abundant amount of time and money to generate hydroelectricity and is just not economically beneficial compared to the countless other forms of electricity we have today due to modern technology.
So basically, the only benefit to hydroelectricity is that it's clean and reusable?
Well, if the world switched to using primarily hydroelectricity, many climate change issues the world would be facing today would be solved. However, the world would also be out of a lot of resources, such as money, and many species would be negatively affected.
A different problem that is just as important would arise. The widespread use of dams could eventually drive some species, both land and water, into extinction.
I learned so much about hydroelectricity today. Did you?
We hope you leave this class with a better understanding of how we turn this into electricity.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Hold on, it's time to charge. Hold on, it's time to charge.
Science rules.
Hold on, it's time to charge.
Inertia is a property of matter.
Hold on, it's time to charge.